Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Hot Toys Secret Base figure preview video. Now before we begin, I have to say a massive thank you to Ryan Kirkwood for going out in person and snapping these gorgeous high-res pics. Show Ryan some love in the comments down below, because without him this series literally wouldn't be possible. Now if you are looking to pre-order R2 or C-3PO, they are available with toyswonderland.com. Link for that is in the description below. They have 12-month installment plans and a points-based reward system. Now we will be splitting this video into two halves. We're going to be taking a look at R2 first, and then arguably the more exciting of the two, C-3PO. Now as for R2, he is very similar to what we've seen previously. This might just be the perfect blend of R2 components based off the other versions. He's got the light up effects, he's got the sound effects with the remote, and he also has a real metal die-cast dome. Initially, I didn't think it was made of metal because that die-cast logo wasn't in the promo images, but yes, the dome is made of metal, which is always a good thing, especially on a droid. Now, he does come with a ton of attachments, including, comically, the little plug that can connect to C-3PO's head so he can drag it behind him. Now, if we have a C-3PO head counter going, you get one with C-3PO, one with R2, and another with the B1 battle droid. So if you get multiples of these characters, you're going to end up with a ton of C-3PO heads. It's something that could make for a very creepy display if you have them all out in your collection. Not sure how many people are going to do that, but it's just something that's rather interesting considering how many you could potentially end up with. R2 himself does appear to be the exact same mold as before. Now he does have an absolute metric ton of attachments and things that can pop out of him. I'm not sure if every single one was on the previous version, but again, I wouldn't be surprised if the answer is yes. He is, however, significantly dirtier than what we saw before, and I love that. I would have absolutely loved an Empire Strikes Back version of R2 from Dagobah who's completely filthy. This guy kind of blurs the line between the other two that we've already received. Force Awakens was kind of dirty and grimy, the other one was a little bit cleaner. This one I think straddles the line perfectly. Now, even though he does come with some very prequel specific attachments, such as the thrusters on the side with some blast effects you saw earlier, there is nothing that inherently says, hey, this is a prequel R2, unless you have some of those specific attachments out and on display. If you wanted to, and you don't own one of the original R2s, you could use this wherever you want. If you want to put him in Clone Wars, go for it. If you want to put him in the sequel, original trilogy, or prequel trilogy, yeah, you can absolutely do that. Because I know there are a ton of collectors out there who have missed out on the previous versions of R2. Now, as I said just before, there are a ton of little parts and pieces. I do recognize a few, including that saw blade, which does look like it's going to be made of metal. Now, they will attach with magnets on the inside in the very same way as they did before. Now, the little doors will actually spring open, but they don't peg in, which means you can move them up and down. You can place them wherever you want them to be. Now, he does have lights and sounds. It seems as though Hot Toys are picking and choosing their gimmicks. The Force Awakens one had lights and sounds. The other version also had lights but no sound, but he did have a die-cast dome. And of course, so too does this guy. Hot Toys, as I said, they're just picking and choosing which parts and pieces they want to include. I love the paint applications here, the gold sections in the middle of the various accessories, plus they do have washers down in the crevices. And yes, you do have the little extendable arms that come out of his head. As I've mentioned a few times, his dome is once again made of metal. They got it right the first time, so why change the recipe? It looks fantastic. You do have all of those opening doors, all of the functions are still retained, but the dome just looks super realistic. It's got the proper brush metal look because, well, it's actually made of metal. I initially thought it wasn't, as I said at the start of the video, but yes, it definitely is. For now, this looks like a very strong contender for a suitable R2 if you missed out on the other versions. I will note though, and this is not something I usually mention, he is a rather pricey boy, which for a very small figure is a bit of a tough pill to swallow. Now moving on to C-3PO, who is a proper die-cast figure. That's right, C-3PO is a metal figure. I don't know how much of him is actually going to be made of metal, but he does have that little logo down below when you look at the promo pics. He does come with some swap out hands. I think this could have been accomplished with articulated fingers. Hot Toys have done articulated fingers with the Battle Droid and with Iron Man figures. I don't really know what's different here to warrant not going for movable fingers. I'm perfectly fine either way, it's just something that's a little curious. He does come with the B1 Battle Droid blaster, which makes perfect sense considering that this guy was retrofitted as a Battle Droid in the droid factory on Geonosis. Now the paint applications are really simple on this, it's literally just black plastic with some silver accents and some weathering on the surface. The display base is the tried and true footprint sand display base. Yes, we are seeing it once again. He does come with a B1 Battle Droid head that you can pop onto him so you can recreate the scene where he was turned into a Battle Droid. I don't know if that's something I'm going to use in my collection. It could potentially warrant picking up 2 C-3POs and having one wear this in the collection. Now, we have been asking Hot Toys for years for a C-3PO. And yes, today is the day you can pre-order this guy. Now, some people did complain, hey, this isn't the C-3PO this is not the droid I was looking for. Sorry, I had to do it. I totally understand. Y'all want the gold version. And this, I think, is just a stepping stone to that one. This, they had to get out first. It's the anniversary, the 20th anniversary of Attack of the Clones. Now is the perfect time to release this guy. If they released the gold version first, I'm sorry to say, but I don't think as many people would have ordered this figure. And Hot Toys is a business. They want to make as much money as possible. So if they can put the mold out first in this format, everyone goes and purchases this because of all the hype for the 20th anniversary of Attack of the Clones, and then drop the gold version later, I don't think it's going to impact sales of this figure because this is a very specific look. It's a very hodgepodge design with the different coloured armour plates. You've got some red sections, some cream sections, and there is weathering over the top. Plus, you can see where the paint has been stripped away to reveal the bare metal underneath. This looks gorgeous. Once again, I don't know the exact amount, the percentage of diecast content here, but if any of those plates are actual metal and the paint looks as though it's been chipped or rubbed off the surface, ooh, we are in for a treat. Now, the only complaint, yes, I do have one, it would have to be the wiring. Coming from reviewing the Bandai C-3PO made of full diecast with real wiring in his abdomen section, this guy looks like a little bit of a letdown. Now, the wiring is just fine. Number one, it's very clean, but they're all fully sculpted, molded, and painted. It would have been far easier and it would have looked better, in my opinion, if they used actual wires. They wouldn't need to paint anything because the wires would already be the colors that they're supposed to be. It would have looked more realistic and probably moved a little bit better. That is a question for me. I'm curious to see how this guy moves. What's the articulation going to be like? Is he going to have pop-out joints that give him slightly more range, or is he going to be as restricted as Anthony Daniels was in this suit? Also, do the pistons in between his forearm and his bicep actually actuate? Do they move in and out as you bend the elbow? There are a ton of questions because this is a first. It's a brand new mold. Now, for Star Wars, we don't really get a ton of that. Yes, you get a brand new head sculpt here and there and maybe a few clone and stormtroopers, but the bodies are all usually the exact same regular true type body. The same cannot be said for this guy. Now, he does have a quite visible wrist peg. I would suppose that that is just for the prototype. I don't know what kind of connector they're going to be using, probably something similar to the Hot Toys Iron Man figures, maybe a little ball joint. But once again, that's a question for when this guy releases. Now, the head sculpt to me looks great. His eyes are currently off, but with the light hitting him from the front, they do reflect it back just a little, so they don't look as dead as the Bandai one and the Sideshow one does. Would I have loved if they'd had switch out eyes that looked on, or you could switch them out for translucent ones that can light up? Yes. Absolutely, that would have been the best way to do it, but this still looks really good. He doesn't look completely off and deactivated in the display. Even from a distance, this looks relatively serviceable. Plus, the armor plating on the outside does have a gorgeous metallic sheen. I love the way this guy looks. I am so darn happy to finally be getting a Hot Toys C-3PO. Although not quite in the gold finish that some people were after, this is still a very nice addition. Now, if you are looking to pre-order C-3PO or R2, they are available from toyswonderland.com. Link for that is in the description below. They have 12-month installment plans and a points-based reward system. While you're down there, why not check out the link to 6 Scale Network, the Facebook group. Come along, chat figures, share photos of your collection, and of course, see what's coming up next on the channel. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.